Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Halftime Oranges. Today, we're going to do the second preview show of the season, and it's coming up right now. Hello, Clive.
Morning, everybody.
And hello, Stefan.
Morning, everyone.
First game of the weekend will be Liverpool versus Burnley. The first game back at Anfield. I'm expecting a very raucous crowd coming back into the stadium. Fantastic 3-0 away win against Norwich. Salah, man of the match in the first game. I expect to see pretty much a similar sort of setup as we did against Norwich. However, I think it would be a good time to bring in Konate if he wants to put him at the back instead of Matip, or possibly take out Van Dijk, which I don't think he'll do because I think he'll want to get Van Dijk some games. Tsimikas will be still at left back because Robertson is still injured, of course. He played very well against Norwich, so I don't think that'll be any issue at all. Central midfield, I think I'd like to see Fabinho back because I don't think Oxlade-Chamberlain played very well. And again, I think he'll want to see Fabinho play, get some minutes under his belt. We could see Thiago come in for Milner potentially. Thiago and Henderson did play a behind closed doors game with Villa earlier this week to get some minutes under their belt. So there is potential for them two to play. But yeah, I think Keita will probably start as well. And then we'll see Salah and Mane. Now we could go with Firmino. He came on and scored, but I think he'll start with Jota, tried and tested. And I think he'll want to get them three playing up top because I think Firmino will drop to the bench. He will be starting on the bench more times than he actually plays this season. Liverpool have won their last 6, scoring at least 2 goals in the Premier League, and they've had a clean sheet in the last 3. As we look to Burnley, it was a bit of a disastrous opening game against Brighton. They did take the lead, but then, Brighton came back and won that game. I expect to see Mian Tarkowski, Loughton and Taylor, McNeil, Cork, Westwood, Goodmanson, and then probably Rodriguez and Wood up top. However, Barnes, Vidra and Brownhill are all pushing for starts. Burnley have lost their last 4 games, and in 9 of the 11 games, there's been 2.5 goals scored. Last game that happened at Anfield, Burnley actually won, if you remember, last season, 1-0. And the season before that...
stopped the record, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And the season before that, it was a draw. It was 1-1.
Yeah, Barnes has got quite a good record at scoring in this one. But I just, with a full house at Anfield, I just can't see really Burnley really doing much in this one, to be honest.
No, not at all. I think it's potential to be a cricket score, if I'm honest. The way Liverpool played last week against Norwich and the way Burnley crumbled against Brighton, I wouldn't be surprised to see 4 or 5 in this game, if I'm being
It could be. I mean,
honest.
they're also lacking at the back. There's no Long, there's no Stevens, Burnley. Aaron Lennon's not fit, so they're lacking a bit of creativity out wide. Chris Wood's always a threat for me. I really do like Chris Wood, but you look at that Burnley side. I mean, no one's going to get in that Liverpool team, and I think that really it's going to be a long Saturday lunchtime for them. I'm afraid it could be a cricket score. You just do wonder if Dyche decides just to stick 5 at the back, flood the midfield maybe a bit, stick Wood up top on his own.
Even doing that though, I still think Liverpool have enough. I mean, they have more than enough to score a lot of goals this weekend.
I think what I'd like to see Klopp do, I mean, especially at home, Anfield, the first full house in 18 months, he'll probably go on the front foot. I fancy Oxlade-Chamberlain to start this one.
You do? Really?
I mean, yeah, I do really do, because I think, he needs to, as well as Jota, Mane, Salah, Firmino, having an extra bit of firepower in midfield in Oxlade-Chamberlain's going to bode Liverpool quite well this season. You don't really need to play Silva or Fabinho in a home game for me, especially with, the fans being back for the first time in 18 months. I think Klopp will probably want to, get this lot out of sight by around the hour mark if he can. And if he does, then maybe sort of rest players, because 2 or 3 weeks' time, we've got Champions League coming up. So, I mean, early to talk about sort of rotating squads, but I mean, Firmino's not fit yet. I mean, he's not really had any kind of a pre-season being away with Brazil.
Fabinho.
Well, but
Firmino came on and scored last game though.
He did, but he's not going to start against Burnley. I don't think. I'll be very surprised.
I think he'll keep with Jota as well.
Yeah,
I think he'll keep with Jota. But I think it's a good game to bring players like Konate and Fabinho in to give them minutes. That's the only reason. I mean, like I said, I don't think Oxlade had a particularly good game against Norwich. I think he'll want to get Fabinho minutes to sort of solidify a good starting 11. Because I think Oxlade-Chamberlain will become a squad player. He is a squad player. So, but I do understand what you're saying, though.
Very good squad player to have. Henderson signed a new contract as well.
Is that been agreed now? Is that done? That's good. That's good news for him.
Pretty much happening. So,
and well,
good for Liverpool, good for everybody there.
Yeah, but Salah though, there is contract negotiations going on for Salah right now.
Where's he gonna go? Where's Salah gonna go?
Because he's not going to
Barcelona. He's not going to Real Madrid. There's not a chance in hell he'll go to Man United.
I don't think PSG is struggling for wingers either. So,
I mean,
City.
You wouldn't write anything off in terms of who City are capable of signing. I mean, whatever. How old is Salah now? Whatever. I think he's
20. I think he's 29 now. I didn't realize that until I looked. He's 29.
Whatever contract he gets will almost certainly be probably his last Liverpool. Probably the last at such a high level. So he's probably the only reason he's probably not signed. He probably wants something like a 5-year deal. Yeah, and Liverpool maybe only want to offer him 3 years. I mean, Real Madrid were interested at one point, but there's no chance that any clubs in Spain or Italy can afford this kind of player.
What's quite amazing that, isn't it? Amazing time.
So what's quite laughable this that came out this week for me in terms of strikers possibly going to Europe is they sell Messi and then Koeman comes out and says he's a striker, and now they're sort of having a look at Aubameyang. They were looking at Roma. So I mean, you just got off point, but you're going to see Premier League sides dominate Europe this season. I think the likes of Inter Milan, Real Madrid, Barcelona, except maybe PSG, they're the exceptions to it. But those three, they're going to struggle.
I agree. All right, shall we move on then? Stefan, Aston Villa against Newcastle.
Yeah, Steve Bruce derby. Both sides are at the wrong end of results last week. Both poor defensively as well. So there could be some goals in this one. Namely, Matt Targett was subbed for his performance. So pulled off at half time. He was up against Sarr and had a torrid time. And actually, Ashley Young came on. So it'd be interesting to see if Ashley Young starts this game today, the veteran, because he'll be up against St Maximan. So I wonder if that's a bit of a baptism of fire for Targett. So having Sarr and then Maximan the week after. Douglas Luiz is available, so he might come in for the ironically named Marvellous Nakamba. And for Newcastle, obviously we talked about the problems they've got at the back. Lascelles still missing. Obviously they shipped 4 last week. I wonder maybe if they might go with Fabian Schär, who had quite a good Euros actually, because they did look poor, especially in the second half. Benrahma and Antonio cut them open quite easily. Willock ready to start, not really his debut for Newcastle, but his debut as a permanent player, if you like. Newcastle hot and cold away form, and Villa really, really poor in the first half last week. I just think maybe with the fans back, we saw that was a bit of a factor, if you like, last week. I think maybe Villa might edge this one. First time they've been back in front of their fans for a while. Obviously, they've got to learn how to play without Grealish. Expect Bailey to start again and Ings up front. I can see goals in this one, and I see Villa edge in this one.
Yeah, I agree. And isn't Ollie Watkins back as well?
Yeah. So he could play maybe off the left with Ings.
Or up top. I don't know, on a 2. But yeah, I think that's a major factor to Villa to have someone like Ollie Watkins back. He did really well last season. Target got battered last week against them. Yeah, and he's playing against old Slinky Chops and Maximan, who can do a lot of damage down the wings. I think bringing in Young. I think bringing in Young is a good idea, to be honest. A veteran move. You don't agree, Clive? No.
Well, St Maximan is a good player. He started off really well against West Ham. It just seemed to me that they played him quite deep. But Willock should make his debut for Newcastle, and that whole family. I mean, they've been churning out footballers. His brother, Charlie Willock, plays for QPR, and he had an absolutely brilliant game against Middlesbrough midweek. I mean, Willock could be the saviour for the Geordies this season. So don't write him off this season. But what I noticed is with the absence of Willett, who they relied on in the second half of last season, it seemed like St Maximin was dropping quite deep against West Ham. Their XG for goals conceded was actually 3, and they conceded 6 big chances to West Ham on Sunday. So their defence really leaves a lot to behold. And if Watkins is back, and then with the creativity that Bundia and Bailey are going to supply both Watkins and Ings, I mean, it could be another long day for Newcastle. It's just going forward, though. I do fancy Newcastle also to get goals against Villa. I mean, yeah, that left back slot there. I mean, you talk about bringing Young in. I think his quickest days are behind him, to be honest.
It's still got the mentality, right? He's still got that craftiness.
Got the mentality, but has he got the pace to deal with someone like Maximin and Matt Ritchie as well? Was getting in the box, quite often for Newcastle against West Ham. He's the one to watch. He could pop up with a goal for Newcastle. It's not going to be an easy game for Villa. I would fancy them to edge it, and it could be. I think it could be a very high scoring game.
I think Newcastle will try and play 5 at the back, and I think Willett will probably come in for Shelby, is what I've heard. And
Shelby played as sort of a deep line midfielder in the last game, right? And I don't think that really worked for them in terms of giving protection to the central defence. So yeah, you might be right with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got all my eyes. Yeah. Sorry, go on. I was just going to say I've got all my eyes on Willett to get a goal in this. To be perfectly honest with you. I really do like him.
On St Maximin again, I think he does try and do too much.
Yeah.
And I know
too much in the wrong half. You don't
he always wants the ball, which is a good thing. But does that mean that he doesn't have much faith in the players that are around him? Which is obviously a terrible thing because he always wants the ball.
St Maximin's just a greedy Frenchman. That's all there is. That's all there is to it, really. I don't think he trusts. It's not a case of him trusting the players around him. I mean, he made a point at the end of the season. He wants to get in the French squad. Yeah, I think me and you have got more. I think me and you have got more chance of getting in the French squad than St Maximin, to be honest, this season.
I don't know. I think he could be a valuable squad player for France, to be honest. He's got to learn to trust his teammates, though, which is it's a difficult thing when you've got players around you at Newcastle like they have. But he can't do it all by himself, and I think he's going to have to learn that. There was a few times in that game where I think it was Ritchie wasn't making the run that he wanted, and he was getting really frustrated. You could see it, and he eventually did lose the ball in central midfield.
Where it's where bad players make good players look bad, right?
Right, yeah, and like I said, he lost the ball in central midfield that basically started the move for the 4th goal. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think Steve Bruce will play 5 at the back. However, I believe Villa will be too strong. Their defense was questionable last week though against Watford. I think they're going to have to tighten that up a bit.
Blown away.
But yeah, I think Villa will 2-1, 3-1 for Villa. I'm going to go on this one. I think Newcastle might bag. They might get one, but
because like you said, score is a good bet.
Because like you said,
both teams to score is a great shout in the game. Yeah.
Villa have bagged 2.5 goals. No, sorry. During Villa's games in the last 10 of 11, 2.5 goals have occurred, and they're undefeated in the last 5 versus Newcastle. So if that's anything to go by.
Bit of a different gravy, isn't it? It's quite a different Villa side now.
Yeah.
You even argue it's a slightly better one in some respects. Now Grealish has gone. I think they've
I think the squad overall is better. In depth. But is their starting 11 better without Grealish? Yet to be determined, I guess. We'll see. And this is a lovely game for them to get going at Villa Park, in my opinion. I think, like you said, Stefan, I think the fans will be right up for this one. All right, moving on, Clive. Crystal Palace and the new boys, Brentford.
I mean, what an amazing sort of story for Brentford. It's kind of made for them. As soon as we did the show, didn't we, last week? And then Aubameyang and Lacazette sort of become ill. Or it's more of a case the boardroom sort of becoming ill at the sheer shock that Barcelona want Aubameyang. It's been a bit of a move that I think he's possibly been angling for. I mean, I think maybe it was a case that he kind of decided, well, no one's in for me now during COVID, so I may as well sign this new contract with Arsenal and just see if anyone else comes in for me later. I mean, let's be frank. I mean, if Barcelona if what they've been inquiring about is true, I mean, he'll leave.
Well, how much would it cost to get Aubameyang? In reality, because I mean, he just signed the new contract. I don't know why he signed that contract if he doesn't want to be
40 million, because
30 or 40. Can Barcelona afford 30 or 40 million?
Well, I don't think it's a case of the transfer fee. I think it's the case of the wages with Barcelona. And I think a few players have taken pay cuts, and I think that then helps them be able to register players. This Brentford side's got some rough diamonds in it, though. I think Canos, who scored against Arsenal, Buemo was playing out of position. He was actually more advanced than what Tony was during most of that game. And Pinnock as well. He could be an absolute star. He could be the Lundstrom that Sheffield United had a few seasons ago, where he just bombing down that wing and pinging in the crosses in the box for the likes of him, Buemo, Canos, and Tony. And he's got such a great mentality, this Brentford team. I really hope they stay up. Palace, it seems like the Eagles are coming home to roost a little bit for Vieira if he doesn't get something in this game. They don't seem like full strength yet. They don't seem at full strength at all.
But without Eze, of course, that's a big loss.
There's no lack of creativity. Zaha decides it's not for him on that day, then they struggle. If they get a point, then that's a good result for Palace. It's going to be interesting to see how Brentford decide to play away from home. Are they going to go for it just as much as they do at home, or are they going to be a bit more cautious? On the back foot against Zaha is never a good idea. So I think it's going to come down to how Zaha decides, how Vieira decides to utilise Zaha's pace and trickery in this one. I would probably go for a score draw, to be honest. But this is the one game where Palace need to pick up points, and if they were to lose in a similar fashion to what they did against Chelsea, I think that might sort of spell a bit of a relegation battle for them. Yeah,
I think Palace, as we say, are in transition, aren't they? So you wouldn't really want to be playing Brentford, maybe a team that is so organised. We saw how organised they were with them set pieces against Arsenal, and I think that could be a factor here. I think Brentford go and win this, and I think the pressure starts to mount on Patrick Vieira. I think we saw the team performance that they put in. I think Tony tracking back 40, 50 yards at times, almost playing in his own half. And I don't think Palace have that yet. I think there's more business that Vieira maybe needs to do. He's relying on players coming back, and he's relying on that system to gel. But for me, I can only see one winner here, and that's Brentford.
I mean, are we getting carried away a bit though with Brentford? I mean, I do look at that Arsenal game to a certain extent. I mean, the whole team made a good player in Ben White look quite bad, I thought. And, Ben White also didn't cover himself in glory. I'm just wondering, have we got carried away, or was it a case of Arsenal were bad and Brentford just capitalised on it, or was it a case of Brentford were quite good? I mean, I wouldn't like to be Anderson or a central defender in that team if they let a ball bounce in the penalty box and Brentford pack it away, because Vieira will probably nut someone in the dressing room. But I just can't. Because that is schoolboy defending what we saw from Arsenal last Friday night, and I just can't see any other teams or many teams in the Premier League defending like that. So for me, I do wonder a little bit. Was it a case of Arsenal made Brentford look so good?
It's a perfect storm, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, it was. I was just about to say the same thing. A perfect storm. All I've got written on my notes here for Crystal Palace is, will Benteke and Anderson are pushing for a start, and that's pretty much it. For Brentford, it's pretty much as you were. We know exactly what they're going to bring. 5 at the back, going to flood balls to Tony and Mbeumo. The only thing I would say about Arsenal is that they did push forward, didn't they, a lot in that game?
Smith Rowe looked good. Smith Rowe looked good as well, didn't he?
Looked decent, but without Lacazette and Aubameyang, they got their tactics completely wrong, in my opinion. They pushed forward far too much. Will they be able to counter Crystal Palace as well as they did against Arsenal? I don't know. That remains to be seen, because again, we don't really know what Vieira plans to do with this Crystal Palace team. We know what Brentford are about, so I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy victory, but I am going to go for a Brentford victory.
Yeah, I think they've got Conor Gallagher available as well.
Yes.
Couldn't play because he was on loan from Chelsea, wasn't it?
And Elise's still injured, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not really.
I think we might see him just before the international break or just after. But I think he's going to be a big player for them this season,
All right.
as we move on.
All right, Stefan. Leeds versus Everton.
Yeah, mixed fortunes for these two teams last time out. Bielsa versus Benitez, a clash of styles. Leeds will be a bit stronger. I've heard that Phillips is likely to start. They really, really missed him against Man United. It's one player they really could have done with away at Old Trafford. Firpo set to make his home debut at left back. Llorente still unavailable, so it'd be interesting to see which centre half pairing he goes with. Will it be Koch? Will it be Stroop, Cooper? Bielsa does like to have a left-sided centre-back and a right-sided centre-back, right-footed, so we might see that play a factor. Last time out, Everton under Benitez, we knew what they were going to do. We knew they were going to get balls into the box using the likes of Gray and Townsend out wide, feeding DCL and Richarlison. Last year, Leeds did have a problem with their goalkeeper, Meslier, coming for crosses, and he started to elect to punch a lot. I wonder if Benitez might target that and put as many balls into that penalty box as possible. Good game this was last year. Everton won out 2-1 winners. And this is the first time in the Premier League for 17 years that there's been fans at Ellen Road. So I wonder if that might play a factor. Both teams might be happy with a point around the 70 or 80 minute mark. And sometimes when it's a game like that, it does often end up as a draw. I can see this being a draw. I think if Bielsa doesn't get a win, or if he does get beat, there might be a bit of pressure on him because he's come under a bit of pressure about that performance last week at Old Trafford. People saying that he shouldn't have gone for it so much, but that is the Bielsa way. I think a draw here. I think a draw will be a fair result here.
Yeah, I think Leeds will be happy to have Felix back, and like you said, be interesting to see how Firpo. He's going to probably be marking Andros Townsend. And like you were talking about getting balls into the box, I think that could be a great battle down that left-right side for Everton and Leeds. Because we all know what Everton are about, throwing balls, slinging balls into the box. I think Everton, they'll be starting with Decore and Allen as like a double pivot. And they'll probably have Gray and Richarlison moving between left wing and attacking midfielder. Richarlison just goes everywhere he wants to, basically, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's a fantastic player. Yeah, and then it'll be a big battle to try and stop from Calvert-Lewin getting his head to a few of those balls, because that's pretty much the game plan, isn't it? It's simple, but it's effective from Benitez. And I'm going to go with you. I think it's going to be I think there's no pressure here on Benitez really. Leeds are sort of expected to win this game in a weird way.
Well,
so
there will be a lot of. Yeah,
So
there's going to be a lot of pressure on Leeds, isn't there?
Yeah, a lot. After that, like you said, after that last performance, the first home game in 17 years with fans, all the pressure is on Bielsa. Can he rise to the occasion? He's done it in the past. But this Everton team is quite a collective unit. It's quite a solid unit. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a draw. And
well,
I think Leeds fans will come away disappointed, and Everton fans will come away relatively happy with that.
Well, I think Ayling and Firpo are going to have their work cut out. I mean, Everton's average crosses last season was 12 per game.
Was it 17
the Townsend
game? Was it 17?
17.
Yeah. Ridiculous. So I mean, yeah, I think
we've all done our research.
But Llorente's out. Which leaves them with Sturridge and Cooper as your centre backs, who are really going to, be busy. Yeah. And Firpo looks a great player, but I just do wonder if he's maybe too attack-minded. And they certainly missed Phillips. Just the midfield was just non-existent against Man United. And
it existed, it just got battered.
Just got pulled apart by Bruno, really, didn't it?
Well, McTominay and Fred was just stopping everything, and those balls to Bruno and Pogba was easy.
Even
very
when
easy.
Leeds, what did feel very easy, which would worry me as a Leeds fan, because even when Leeds had the ball, just Harrison was just absent. Bamford was getting no support whatsoever, and he got hooked around 70 minutes because it was just not his day. And you do wonder, because Rodrigo. I mean, there's a lot of decent individual players. I just wonder if Bamford doesn't get the support he needs, does Rodrigo offer enough firepower for Leeds, or should they be looking at a third striker? And I think if Everton come up winners, which I think they might do on Saturday, I think they've got too much creativity for that back four. I really do. In Gray and Townsend. And I think Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, who's just like Iron Man at the moment. I mean, he's playing the Olympics, going straight back. At some point, Benitez is going to have to rest him, and because World Cup qualifiers coming up in September. So, I mean, this is the thing that Leeds have got to go watch, because their squad doesn't look that deep, and a defeat there, I think Bielsa's going to have to strengthen.
All right, well, moving on. Manchester City versus Norwich. Well, what a game last week. The late Sunday kickoff, City losing that game, getting counter-attacked, didn't really create anything. However, they do have a few players coming back. Kyle Walker looks like he might be back. Stones also. Kevin De Bruyne did come on around the 80th minute, and he looked relatively sharp. So I think
he looked very good.
Yeah, I think he's in line to start, which means they could be playing Sterling on the left, or they might play him up top like they did last season. Then Grealish will come in somewhere, or they could go with Jesus and give him a shot. But I don't know. I don't think there's much faith that Pep has in Jesus. So,
well, if you want to get faith in someone, stick them in this game, because they'll be getting goals. If you want to build up someone's confidence, play them, because Norwich are poor.
Yeah, Zinchenko will be probably at left back instead of Mendy, who was pretty poor, dire in that last game. Norwich, I think they'll pretty much keep the same team that lost against Liverpool. Krull, Arran, Hanley, Gibson. Is it Janussi at the back? Rupp, Lees, Moulay, Gilmore, Cantwell, who've played very poor in my opinion. Pookie and the new boy Rashika. They've lost their last 11 Premier League matches and have failed to score in 10 of those games. It's going to be a long day at the office, I think, for Norwich. I think City, when they have lost in the league, they seem to come back the next game.
The reaction, right?
The reaction is usually a 4 or 5-0, and I think it will be the same this game. I really do.
The reaction from Pep will be to drop Nathan Ake, because I thought he had an absolute nightmare.
Oh yes, I think Stones
will be fit.
Back.
And I think Diaz needs to up his game a little bit. I mean, he made that mistake. There was a bit of a mistake. He seemed to get his foot caught in the turf trying to block the cross, block the shot. Sorry.
Yeah, he got it wrong, didn't he? But it was all about. It was really about, like you said, it was Ake showing Son inside to allowing him to shoot, right? And it was Diaz
backing off. I mean, it's just it's not the Man City defending that we're used to. It's a fantasy. It's a fantasy football manager's dream, this game. Like, how many Man City players could you have? I've not got no Man City players in my team. So
you might want to change that.
Well, I'm not. I want to roll the transfer. So I got 107 points, thank you very much, last week. So I've got no reason to bring in any Man City players. But I mean, Norwich, I do feel sorry for them, because they're going to get absolutely hammered. They just haven't got anywhere near enough quality for this Man City side.
Yeah, Stefan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, well, we say that this is the season for some teams will start this week, like to Palace, but I think it starts next week again for Norwich, doesn't it? Because they had Liverpool at home first game.
Well, who do they have next week? Any idea?
Leicester.
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah.
Their season might be starting in September.
We'll come back after the international break, refresh, boys. Yeah. Big game for Grealish. I expect, as Clive says, it's a big game if you want to get someone's confidence up, and I can see this being the Grealish show.
He looks a bit slow, don't you think, though, against Tottenham?
He always looks slow. He's not that
It's just
good,
the way
boys.
He plays, though, isn't it?
He's a good player, but he's not a great player.
He's got to get used to receiving the ball in the second half of the pitch.
I disagree there, Aaron. I think he's a great player, but I think he's
Sterling
a
on the left,
player.
Mahrez on the right, KDB down the middle.
Mahrez didn't look much better. And Mahrez, for me, is 2 really poor games that I've seen him.
He missed a big chance, didn't he?
He just
0-0.
This is it. I mean, Mahrez now, if he gets dropped at any point after this, if he doesn't bang against Norwich, he's got no complaints, because Pep's gone with him from the back end of last season, where he was great, and the consistency hasn't gone into the beginning of this season, where he's had a whole summer off. So I mean, now I've set it up nicely for a Mahrez hat trick. All
right, then moving on, Stefan, your beloved Brighton against Watford.
So Seagulls versus the Hornets. So the annoying pest derby down at the Amex on Saturday and the late kickoff. So both sides won games that they weren't necessarily expected to last week. So both being good have some momentum going into the game. Last season, both teams had excellent defensive, so it could be a tight game. Dan Burn's still not fit for the Albion. On Saturday against Burnley, went with Pascal Gross at left back, which is a baffling decision. And it seems like they've got Sarr on the right. I can see him going with Solly March, more recognised, if you like, left back. Still no Danny Welbeck, although he is in training, so he might be back possibly before the international break. So we'll see Morpay start, and Morpay actually looked very good against Burnley, especially in the second half. I wonder if he's had a touch of the Victor Lindelofs when you know there's a replacement coming in. You sort of get your game up, if you like. It was all about the second half for Brighton. Lallana, Alexis McAllister and Moda all playing a vital role, and I'd like to see him start with the team that started the second half. For the visitors, Josh King is now available, so you can expect to see him up front with Dennis, who looked very good against Villa. Shane Duffy is in line for a start. Joel Veltman still out with COVID issues. It took Brighton till January to get their first home win last season. So it's a real opportunity, I think, for us. Only scored 14 goals at home. So we know putting the ball in the back of the net is the big problem for Brighton. I wonder now if Neil Maupay can kick on and try and convince the Brighton fans that we don't need another striker. I'm going to go home win, but maybe that's just my blinded optimism. But I fancy Brighton here to get 6 points from the first two games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After last week, I think Watford will be riding a little bit of a high. Do you think Cucho will start? Cucho Hernandez, who scored that goal in the second half?
Dennis got a knock, didn't he? So he could do, couldn't he? Yeah, he's got a knock, so he's a bit doubtful. The Watford. Cucho looks a player, though, doesn't he?
They've just brought in Tufon as well from Fenerbahce, I believe, Watford, on loan.
Decent,
so
very decent.
He could start. I think this is quite a difficult one to predict, but I'm going to go with Brighton. I think at home, defensively minded. I don't think Watford will be scoring 3 goals like they did against Aston Villa last weekend. So, yeah, I'm going to go with maybe like a Brighton 1-0, close victory. Yeah, 1-0. Brighton. Home victory, I'm going. Clive?
Watford, away win.
Ooh, Stefan doesn't like that. All right, boys and girls, those are the Saturday games. And we're going to return soon with the games on Sunday and Monday. All right, here at Halftime Oranges. Bye-bye for now.